Thank you so much for that introduction. Welcome, everybody. So welcome if this is your first time, and welcome back if you have been taking my class for the last couple of weeks. Today's program will be on back pain. It'll be 30 minutes long, and it'll be mostly movement-based. So we'll run through a few stretches and strengthening exercises for your back. And then at the end, we will save time to run through a little bit about ergonomics, as well as save time for Q&A. So if you guys do have questions throughout the class, you can type them to me in the chat, and I'll make sure that we address them by the end of class. And if you are just hopping on, you just need a space to lie down. It can be a yoga mat, beach towel, blanket, soft carpet, just somewhere to comfortably lie down. So with that being said, we're going to start lying down on your back. So if you guys can find a comfortable position, and if you lie down with your legs totally flat and that feels like a lot of stress on your back, it's okay to have your knees bent to get started. Just find a comfortable position. And that's something I want to emphasize throughout class today. I'm going to provide a number of modifications throughout the program. So please take what feels right for your body. Everybody's backs are different, so listen to my cues, take the steps you need to make this feel like the best stretch for you. So as you guys lie down on the mat today, just take a moment to settle in. Maybe it's early in your day and you're just getting started, so allow your body to melt back on the mat. And just notice how your body feels on the mat in this moment, noticing any differences from side to side, any spots of tension. And there's no right or wrong, just notice it for the time being. And as you lay here, start to imagine your breath and see if you can visualize your breath as you lie on the mat. Maybe your breath is up high in your shoulders. Maybe it's down low in your belly. Maybe it's even wide out to the side in your rib cage. So just notice it for now. Sometimes during periods of stress, we send a lot of our breath up high in our shoulders, and it can create some tension around our neck and shoulders. As you lie on the mat today, see if you can send your breath down lower. And this is a practice. This is something that takes a little bit of conscious thought sometimes. Allow your rib cage to open up wide out to the side, and exhale, feel your rib cage close together. Try 2 more gentle breaths like that, comfortably at your own pace, noticing the expansion of your rib cage as you breathe. And I'm going to join you down onto the mat so that we can add a little bit of movement. So as you finish your last gentle breath here, if your legs are all the way extended, go ahead and bend them and place your feet flat down on the mat. We're going to start with some very gentle movement for our lower back with a pelvic tilt. You want to imagine your pelvis rocking back towards your face and then unraveling towards your tailbone. So if you imagine the space underneath your lower back, you're closing that space and then opening it. Gently closing that space and opening it. And you may feel initially that this movement is kind of stiff and kind of tight. Just work within your body's comfortable range of motion for right now. And hopefully with each gentle pelvic tilt, you find that you're able to move a little bit farther and a little bit more comfortably. Gently breathing here. There's no right or wrong way to breathe. Just make sure you are breathing. Holding your breath through this series can create some tension around the spine. So nice and easy, rocking to close this space and open. We'll do 2 more here. And last time, unravel your tailbone and settle somewhere right in the middle. From here, walk your feet together and knees together. We're going to introduce some gentle rotation. Allow your arms to open up on the mat, arms rest down by your side, and start to let your legs rock from side to side. So you want to keep your knees together so that your legs rock in tandem with one another. And it's okay for your hips to lift here, but you want to keep your shoulders down on the mat. And that ensures that the rotation here is into your lower back. So as you rock side to side, just go as far as you can with a comfortable range of motion. So it shouldn't be a strain, it shouldn't be stressful. We're just starting to warm up the joints a little bit. And again, you may find as we keep moving that you can go a little bit farther each time you rotate. It's also normal here to find that one side is quite a bit tighter than the other. We'll go for about 4 more here, just nice and easy, letting the body melt onto the mat. Last 2. And last time, come back to the middle. Separate your feet slightly so they're about hip distance apart. And you want to make sure that your knees are bent enough to be able to touch your fingertips to your heels. We're going to start with our first strengthening exercise today, which is a bridge exercise. If you've been taking my class for the last couple of weeks, we've practiced a number of different bridges. Today, we're going to try a rolling bridge or an articulating bridge. So what that means is that it actually starts with that pelvic tilting motion. So you're curling your tailbone towards your face, and then you're continuing to curl your hips up till you get to about your shoulder blades, and then you're softly letting your spine come back down 1 vertebrae at a time. You can imagine your spine almost like a string of pearls. You're picking up 1 pearl at a time, lifting the hips, and then you're replacing each single pearl down onto the mat 1 at a time, with your tailbone being the very last thing to come down. We slowly curl up and soften across your chest and melt back down. Again, this may feel really stiff, like you're moving big blocks of your spine at a time instead of 1 vertebrae. As you roll, hopefully this acts as a nice stretch for your spine as well. Imprint both of your feet down into the mat. Imagine hugging your inner thighs together gently to help ensure that you're using both of your legs at the same pace. I'd like you guys to continue here. I'm going to come on up to give you a quick bit of feedback, make sure that everybody's form looks good. One thing for everybody here is to open up your collarbone. So press down lightly into your arms as they lie next to your thigh. Good. That looks really nice. Patty, you can walk your feet in just a tiny bit closer to your bottom. Good. Excellent. And Laura, you want to think about hugging your inner thighs together just a little bit there to give you some more stability. We're going to do 1 more together and then pause at the top. Now, you have the option to just stay in this bridge position. If you would like to try a little challenge, you're going to bring your hands to the tops of your hips. Notice your hips at the same height. So if I put a level here, it would read even. And you're just going to gently march your legs off the floor, teeny tiny bit. And you're trying, as you do this sort of walking motion, to keep your hips super still. It's quite hard to do so, but challenge yourself a little bit here. Now, if you're starting to feel tension in your lower back, come back to your double leg bridge, draw your rib cage down, and just practice holding that double leg bridge. So we'll try those marches for 5, 4, 3, 2, last time, and lower your hips down. Gently rock your legs from side to side. So that was our first strengthener for the back side of our body, for our glutes. And they provide a big support for our spine when we walk and when we bend over and do stairs. We're now going to strengthen the front side of our body, and that's our abdominals. So they provide support for our spine in the opposite direction. So from here, bring your right knee in towards your chest, and you're going to gently hug that leg with both hands. Lightly extend your leg out in front of you on the left side. Now, if this feels like a strain on your back, lift your left leg up a little bit higher. If this feels really easy, lower your left leg down towards the floor. Now, imagine I just put your morning coffee right onto your stomach. Try not to spill even a drop and switch your legs in space. And again, we switch the legs in space. So I want you to imagine like you're stringing a bow and arrow with your feet. You're pushing your legs in opposite directions, pushing out through one leg while pulling the opposite leg in to get that nice stretch for your hip. You're breathing, your shoulders are relaxed on the mat, Your rib cage is heavy on the mat. We go for 4, 3, 2. Last time. Now hug both knees in towards your chest. We're going to try double leg stretch today. So what that looks like is a gentle hug in with both knees, and then arms and legs reach away. We circle around and hug in. To modify, you can reach arms and legs up to the ceiling and bring them back down. For a challenge, reach your arms and legs a little bit lower and circle them back in. You want to be able to go only as far as your rib cage can stay down. So if you feel your back arching up away from the floor, maybe you're reaching your legs a little bit too low. Challenge yourself so that it's work for your core, but it's not stressful to your back. We do 2 more. Awesome, guys. And one more time here. And hug both knees in towards your chest. Gently massage out your lower back, circling your legs around. And then reverse that circle to the other direction. Now see if you can rock yourself right on up to a seated position. And maybe you rock and roll a couple of times till you come on up. Maybe you push yourself up and that's okay. And come on up to a seat. We're going to go into a little bit of hip stretching from here. So walk your hands about 6 inches behind your bottom. You're going to place your right ankle on top of your left thigh. Now, you might need to really let your left leg go straight in order to get it up there, or you might be quite flexible and you can bend your left heel in towards your bottom. So play around with where you feel the best stretch in your right hip. So this should be the outside of your right hip. Once you have found that stretch, lift up your chest. Actively use your arms here to pick your spine up tall. So you want to imagine like you have a mostly flat back. And that support and flat back from your spine ensures that the stretch goes into your hip and not so much into your back. So you should feel that as you lift your spine, the stretch into your right hip gets a little bit deeper. So we'll just hold this and breathe for another 10 seconds or so. Keep pressing down into the floor. Use this as an opportunity to open up your chest. And then you're gonna straighten the left leg and plant your right foot down to the floor, come up to sitting. So we're still crossing our right leg outside the left. We're gonna do a gentle spine twist. So you take your left hand to the outside of your right thigh, walk your right hand back, and you're just looking over the right side of your body. Again, I'm not sitting here slumpy. I'm pressing my spine up nice and tall, finding that gentle twist, like I'm shining a flashlight out of my sternum. We come back to the center. You can straighten the right leg, bend both of your knees again, walk your hands back behind you, and cross your left ankle on top of your right thigh. Now again, it's totally normal for your 2 hips to be different. So slide that right foot around to find the sweet spot where you feel a stretch, but not a strain into your left hip. And then press into your arms, open up your chest, try and find that long spine, sort of flat back position. And just feel the stretch, just notice it. You can always tweak your alignment as you work into this stretch to maybe make it a little bit deeper by walking your right foot in. And just hold and breathe. I want to take a quick peek at everybody's form here and make sure that we all have the right setup. I know these can be a little tricky to find. You guys look tremendous. Nice job. Good, Fernando. Walk your hands back farther behind your hips a little bit. Good. And then from here, we're going to straighten the right leg, plant your left foot down to go into the spine twist. The right hand comes to the outside of my left thigh, and I walk my left hand back, sitting up my spine as tall as possible. So I'd rather you guys maintain the really tall spine and have only a little twist rather than a big twist with a crunched spine. So you want to be as tall as possible, gently twisting over to that left side. And then we'll uncross the legs. We're going to flip right on over to your stomach. So this is where that pillow may come in handy. If you lie down onto your stomach and right away it feels stiff and sore for your lower back, go ahead and add a pillow underneath your hips. This is a position of extension. And a lot of the things we do when we sit for work are based in a flexion position. So just laying on your stomach can actually be quite a stretch for your lower back and for your hips. So just take a moment to settle in. We're going to place your hands underneath your shoulders and gently start to lift up the spine. So you're keeping your hips down, and maybe you can lift just your upper back. Maybe you feel comfortable lifting all the way up into a big extension. It's early, so remember you might feel a little bit stiff here. Just nice and easy, you're going to lower and lift. If you still feel some tension in your lower back, you're going to separate your feet a little bit wider than the mat and turn your heels together, toes apart. Now, this is an exercise you're going to see across all my classes every week because I think it just gives you the best bang for your buck in terms of stretching your spine in the opposite direction of the way we spend most of our days in sitting. So if you remember nothing from this class today, keep this one in mind as a really good stretch that takes not a lot of time that you can integrate throughout your day. We're going to do a couple more here, and just notice if your shoulders start to hike up by your ears, try to draw your shoulders down away from your ears, creating length in your neck. We'll do one more time, and then you can sit your hips up and back. We're going to go into a child's pose. So now you're sitting your hips back over your heels, walking your hands forward. Maybe you even allow your forehead to rest down onto the mat. And in this position, I want you guys to think of breathing into the back side of your body. So allowing your rib cage to actually open up to the ceiling, even though you're facing down. So just hold here, take another deep breath. And then when you're ready, we're going to come up to an all fours position. So we're going to go with a hand directly underneath the knees. And I'll tuck in my shirt here so you guys can see a little bit better. So hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. If you have any knee sensitivity, this is another place where that pillow might come in handy, or you can roll up your mat or towel and place it underneath your knees for a little bit of extra padding. If you have any wrist sensitivity, you can always drop down into your forearms. So find the comfortable setup for you. And then we're going to start to move through a cat-cow motion. So that's gently rounding your spine and then dropping your spine down into extension. You can almost picture your spine like a wave in the ocean. So it's rounding up and gently dropping down. And I'd like you guys, as I've said many times, to work within your comfortable range of motion. And that might look different than your neighbors. It might even look different than your spine yesterday. Just find what works for you this morning. And then we're going to settle somewhere right in the middle, okay? So you're thinking of pulling the shoulder blades towards the opposite back pocket. Now I'd like you to think of your spine as though you're in a plank. So we're going to start to do a little bit of strengthening to the abdominals, but just staying in this all fours position. So shift your weight gently to your left hand. You're going to reach your right arm out to the side, and I'm actually going to turn so you guys can see the orientation of my arm. It's straight out to the side. My palm is facing down. And you're just going to hold this position. And I know this alignment, it doesn't look like a lot, but this can actually be a ton of work to balance our spine in this asymmetrical position. Now challenge yourself to reach a little bit farther to the right. So chances are you shifted your body weight to the left side as a counterbalance. Keep reaching over to the right and just hold it here. We go for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now take that right hand. We're going to go right into a stretch. Thread it underneath your left arm and drop your head and shoulder down to the mat. Then we open up the right arm to the ceiling And again, we thread it underneath the left arm, dropping your head and shoulder onto the mat. We open up and reach and thread it underneath. And one more time here, we open up to the ceiling and thread it all the way under and come back to the center. So that was a nice stretch into rotation, but this time focusing on our upper back. So now we're gonna set up for our second side, and I'll turn once again. Keep your right hand down on the mat, reach your left arm straight out to the side, palm facing down. I'm gonna come take a look at your form. You guys can work to hold this position. Unlock your right elbow. There we go. And rotate your left shoulder down just a tiny bit, back down just a little bit there. Good. Patty, turn your palm to face down. There you go. Yep. Good. And challenge yourself. See if you can reach to that opposite side just a little bit farther. Good. Everybody can look. I know it's tempting to look towards the camera, but keep your gaze down towards the floor. We hold for 4, 3, 2, last time. Now thread that left arm underneath your right arm. Drop your head and shoulder onto the floor, and then open up to the ceiling, following that left arm with your eyes. And again, we gently reach underneath the right and come all the way back up to the ceiling. Notice that my hips are mostly staying stacked over my hips. So I'm not sitting back here. I'm still stacked up tall. That's what makes this stretch isolating it to the upper back as opposed to going into your lower back. We'll do one more time on this side. And then come all the way up and take a little rest. Nice work there, guys. Excellent. So today, to progress class, we're going to start to work through the sides of our body and the sides of our hips, building up some strength. So a lot of times we can, we do movements that are front to back. It's not often that we get movement in the sideways plane or in the rotation plane, but those are the muscles that provide stability from our spine when we're in a situation that's unstable or uneven. So like what we just did, where we had one arm out but one arm down, that's an uneven situation for our spine. We get a lot of support from the sides of our body. So to do so, we're going to try a little side plank with some movement. I want to show you guys a couple of options here. So we'll set up on our left forearm. So everybody can come down onto your left forearm, and your elbow should be right underneath your shoulder. Now, even sitting in this position with my hips down on the mat, this is a modified side plank. So I could be here like I'm watching TV, or I can be pressing into my left elbow, drawing my left rib cage off the mat. And this is a side plank. So this is your start position. You can also pick your hips up, keeping your knees down if you would like to progress. This is also a side plank. And notice that you're still maintaining that nice right angle underneath your side body. If you want to take the full progression, you'll extend your legs out and you can come into that full side plank position. So if you are in any of these planks, shoulders should be stacked, hips should be stacked, and you have a nice right angle under your side body. And we're just going to work to hold that. So we hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take a quick rest. We're going to do one more of those planks, and we're going to add a gentle bit of rotation, and that's coming from our top arm. So again, any of those setups, it can be hips, knees, or feet. I will demonstrate on the knees this time so you can see. We lift into our plank, 10 more seconds here. This time we reach our top arm, right arm out in front of us, and we tap the mat and lift. Now, as you tap and lift, this is just a challenge to our balance. I'm not actually letting my right shoulder dip down to the floor. I'm just moving my arm, keeping the rest of my body still. We do 2 more. And last time, come up, drop down, and take a little rest. We're going to push ourselves up, but still keep our feet pointing over to the right side of the mat. And we'll just gently start to stretch our spine up and over in a windmill motion. So opening up our side body, giving it a nice stretch for all the work and support it just gave us in that side plank. And then we'll set up for the second side. So you can swing your legs around in a fancy fashion. And we'll come down onto our right forearm this time. So right elbow goes right underneath your right shoulder. Now, if for any reason on that last side you were feeling some lower back pain or soreness, try a more modified version of that plank. That's your body's way of saying, you know what, I'm not getting enough support in this position. You can still get quite a bit of work even from these modified setups. So take what feels right for your body. Maybe that's down on your hips. Maybe you're in the plank on your knees, or maybe you're up on your feet. And we hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come down, take a quick rest. And then we're gonna add in that arm movement as our final piece here. So go ahead and stretch your legs out long, bend your knees, find your side plank. You're gonna reach that top arm out in front of you, tap and lift, tap and lift. Good, tap and lift. We go for 4 and 3, 2, and 1. Drop your hips down, press yourself on up. And we'll do our mermaid arms or windshield wiper, windmill arms, reaching up and over. You could imagine your spine in this setup like an accordion. So the sides of your ribs opening and closing as you dial the arms up and over. Good. And then you guys can take a little rest, just stay in a comfortable seat on your mat. I want to show you guys a quick trick. I've had a couple of questions over the past few weeks about what's a quick exercise that I can do using my chair. So I thought this would be a fun opportunity. You guys can, if you have a chair nearby, pull it out. You don't have to. I just wanted to show you how you could use it as a little tool for a quick exercise in the middle of the day. So let me tip this down just a little bit. I'm pulling my chair out. So I like to use the chair as a way to help my alignment when I practice a squat. And the squat is a great way to strengthen our back, to strengthen our hips, knees, ankles. So what you're going to do is face your chair and walk up your knees so that they're right against the chair and your feet are right kind of underneath the chair. From that position, you're going to reach your arms out in front of you for the back edge of your chair and gently sit your hips back and stand. So when we look at what makes a good squat, it's not letting my knees slide really far forward and bending my hips, rounding my spine. Having the chair in front of you makes it easy to feel the alignment of reaching your hips back and pressing your hips forward. Okay, so this is something you can think about, you can practice and try throughout your day if you want to take a little break and add some movement to your routine. That being said, I just want to go over a little bit with the ergonomics of what your spine should look like when you're sitting. So we did a lot of practice today to loosen up our lower back. Ideally in the seated position with your feet down, you want your lower back to have a gentle curve. So for me, this chair here, if I were to use the back, I've got a big curve in the rounded C-shaped direction. So I would actually need to grab a pillow to give myself some support to help find that position where my pelvis is lifted to leave a small space in the low back and sit up nice and tall. So here now I've got some feedback from the pillow behind me. So I am offering a class later this afternoon on neck and shoulder pain, and we'll talk in that class a little bit more about the ergonomics of the upper half of your body. One thing I want to mention, and this was a question in the chat at the beginning of class, I have recommended in the past that you use pillows to stack up your laptop to bring it a little bit closer towards your face. And there were concerns that your laptop heats up on the pillows. That's a great point, and that's something you want to be careful with. So you can always add like a textbook or something a little bit harder so that there's space between your cooling system of the laptop and your pillow. So that being said, I'd love to answer any other questions that you guys have today. You can always write them to me in the chat, and I'll try and read them out so that everybody can hear the questions you guys have. But thank you so much for joining. It was fun.